Oh, man, that's much better. Man, this med pod we found really got me back on my feet quickly. That only felt like it took a few minutes. I think it erased my memory of the accident, though. I don't remember what happened. Did I slip on one of Coolerbot's spills again?
Hey, man. Fuck you.
Coolerbot, chill out. Look, Neil?
Yeah.
Look, I'm glad the med pod we found helped you out, but I hate to break the news to you. It's not been 10 minutes.
What do you mean? How long was I in there?
Let's see. Carry the 4. Like 57 days, I think. Right around there.
What?
See, you went in there. Minor problem. You were only supposed to be in there for a few minutes like you thought. But then someone spilled some water from someone's tank on the med pod, and it kind of malfunctioned and stuck you in there for way longer than you had planned.
Jesus.
It was total blind luck that I was even able to get it open and like get you out in the first place.
Oh my God.
You're lucky to be alive, kiddo.
So it really was because of a Coolerbot spill.
Don't let that fool you. I'm really an okay guy when you get to know me.
Welcome to Crew Expendable. I am synthetic face sculptor Hallstrom.
And I am the many Rohrbacher.
And we're back. I don't have the other thing.
Yeah, we forgot to come up with a comparison here, but it's fine. We're a couple of dudes that are reading some comics in the Alien franchise.
I might be a little rusty. We'll deal with it.
It's been a while, that's for sure.
It has. If anyone out there has listened to our last episode on What If Number 2, I did a little drop-in recording up top just to let everyone know what's been going on and why I haven't really been working on the podcast. But here we are. We're back.
Yeah, I should specify that the intro he recorded was recorded after everything that happened, but the rest of the episode was recorded before, and this is actually the first episode we've recorded since everything happened.
Yeah, man. That last episode was recorded in May, like early May.
It sure was. It sure was, which as of this recording is roughly about 2 months ago.
Basically. Thanks, everyone, for hanging in there, and Kenny, thank you for your tweets and your system update recording, just to sort of keep everybody informed on what was going on while respecting my privacy. I appreciated that.
Yeah, I didn't know how much of it you wanted me to share about what happened. And then I recorded it. And then after I recorded it, you were like, oh, you can tell everyone what happened. And I was like, well, it's too late now, Binch.
Yeah, no worries.
Plus, it was one of those things where even if I had gotten word ahead of time that I could, I was like, this isn't really my story to tell. Like, the people deserve to hear Neil be the one to talk about it. So
yeah, I just didn't have it in me. But here we are. We're not gonna keep harping on the fact that I had a seizure and a concussion and hurt my shoulder. Just wanted to have a little fun with this intro. I'm doing okay, guys. I'm doing good. All things considered, get back on the horse, right? As Carter Burke says. Sure, yeah. I'm following the company's advice here. Jesus.
So, Neil, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Other than that,
yeah,
what else has been happening with you since last time we recorded?
Oh God, what has been happening? I did an episode of the Flock podcast a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. You sure did.
Talked about trying to watch Riverdale. Mm-hmm. Still trying to watch Riverdale.
Have you progressed any farther since then?
Yeah, I'm going to force my way through it. But
nice.
I had this, you know me. I'm always thinking like, hey, maybe I could turn this into a podcast, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to. I am not equipped to talk about the show Riverdale.
I should specify. Listeners, I should clarify. I don't know if he ever actually said it on the show or not, but several months ago, like last year or something like that, Neil was floating the idea of doing a Riverdale podcast.
I floated this idea. I was like, the hook will be, I'm going to force myself to watch Riverdale and talk about it. As you all know, I'm an unironic Archie Comics fan. Never got into Riverdale. I don't know, man. It ain't for me, but I'm gonna force my way through all 7 seasons. But yeah, it is an insane TV show that, again, I can't tell if it's parody, if it's like intentional camp. The topics that come up in the show, I don't think I'm the one who should be weighing in on many of them. It's a weird show. But I have floated the idea many times outside of this show to many people of like, maybe I could do like a Riverdale podcast. No, never happening. Not from me, guys. Sorry. Hate to disappoint all of you people who did not know that this was something I was considering.
You're watching the show, but you're refusing to turn it into content. And for that, I salute you.
Thank you. Other than that, I replayed Doom Eternal.
All right.
Kicked its ass. Got every single collectible, every single upgrade in the entire game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. Really.
That's how to do it.
Fucking knocked that game out of the park. Started on the DLC, the Ancient Gods expansions, because I've never played those before. And I think Doom Eternal might be a seizure trigger for me. So I'm going to put that game down for a little while.
All right. Fair enough.
What about you, Kenny? What have you been up to?
Well, I believe, I don't recall for sure, but I believe I was playing Final Fantasy 16 last time we talked.
On the last released episode, you were playing a Dragon Quest?
Okay, I was playing Dragon Quest. Okay.
And Sandland, I think.
All right. In that time, I was playing Dragon Quest 11. The like fancy like deluxe edition. I don't remember what its subtitle is, but I was playing DQ11 and I put that on hold to play through FF16 because the DLC for that finally came out. Nice. And even though I beat the game last summer when it first came out, I never played the DLC. So, but I believe the DLC doesn't unlock until after you beat the game. So I had to play through the entire game again to be able to unlock it. Okay. And I got about 75% of the way through the game, but then Furiosa came out. And so I was like, shit, now I need to play Mad Max again. And so I started playing Mad Max and I played through the entire game, beat it, got all the collectibles, cleared out the map and everything.
Nice.
That took me like 3 weeks or something like that. By the way, listeners, just to clarify, this is the 3rd time that I've gone through and played this game from beginning to end.
Holy smokes.
And then after that,
I started playing that game. I played about an hour of it. So
that's fine. It happens. But after that, I briefly went back to 16 until one day, actually, funnily enough, I was watching our pal Bob, Respectable Street, stream on Twitch.
Yeah, Bad News Bob.
And
Bad Call Bob. Sorry.
I think it's Bad Call Bob, yes.
Yeah.
And there was a PlayStation sale going on because the Steam summer sale is currently happening. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, all of the other companies are doing their own equivalent sales. And PlayStation had Star Wars Jedi Survivor on sale for like 60% off or something like that. And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I liked the first one well enough. So I'll pick it up. And then after I bought Jedi Survivor, I went, oh, yeah, I never did finish playing Fallen Order. So I'm going back and playing Fallen Order again on my PS5, which is a game that I've played a few times and it never really clicked. But this time I'm actually having a really good time playing it. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Good. I played a little bit of that one. Survivor is on EA Play or whatever it's called, which is part of Game Pass. So
yeah.
But I haven't. I did pre-order the re-release of Star Wars Bounty Hunter, though. That doesn't come out for, I don't know, until like October or something.
Yeah, that game looks fun. I'm probably going to pick it up.
I played it on GameCube originally, so I've been wanting to dip back in.
Oh, you mean the game called Bounty Hunter? I thought you were
Yes.
talking about the Star Wars game about bounty hunters, i.e., outlaws.
No, not Outlaws. The actual
Okay.
the actual Bounty Hunter re-release.
I got you. I don't think I knew they were re-releasing it, so I got you.
Yeah.
There's also, Neil, one other game that I've been playing. Well, technically two now, I guess.
Sure. Let me guess.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro for the PlayStation, and another PlayStation classic, Sabrina the Teenage Witch: A Twitch in Time.
All right, well, I have played Enter Electro before. That's not the game I'm currently playing, but I have played it before, and it's fun.
Side question: guess what 2 games were sitting on my desk?
I'm guessing at least one of them was Enter Electro, possibly even both of them.
Both of them. Yeah, both of these were sitting on my desk.
But yeah, Enter Electro is good. Twitch in Time I have not played, but I do know that you just got a copy of it. So.
I sure did.
But no, the other games I've been playing, how I mentioned how I, so easily and so masterfully dropped in the foreshadowing earlier of how I happened to mention the Steam summer sale. Well, I also bought some stuff there too. And I have unlocked a whole new aspect of my life that I never realized until right now.
This is exciting.
As I'm sure listeners are already tired of hearing because I mention it semi-regularly, I can't play games in first person because they give me really bad motion sickness. We're talking, I can play the game for 20 minutes and then be sick to my stomach for the rest of the day. So
We call it DIMS, Doom-Induced Motion Sickness.
that's right.
Yeah. Actually, that's an actual term that came up when Doom released.
Oh, I would believe it.
Yeah.
I absolutely would believe it. That was the most popular one there for a long time. But
Sure.
But I, on a whim, suddenly remembered out of nowhere how a few months ago, I believe I talked to you about it. I may or may not have talked about it on an episode, but I remembered telling you that I had installed Resident Evil 7 on my Steam Deck and played it, and it didn't give me any issues.
Yes, very exciting.
I suddenly, because like the screen is small enough that it doesn't like give me motion sickness by playing on it. I suddenly out of nowhere remembered that while I was going through the Steam summer sale.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I should give it a try. Maybe I should like play an FPS and see how I feel about it. And I was like, man, what game is it? Are there any FPSs that I really, really want to play? And so I was poking around, and then while I was looking at all the games, the answer suddenly revealed itself to me. When for $35, I could buy every single Doom game on Steam.
Wait, I've never heard of this series.
After a little bit of consultation with a couple other people, I decided not to start at the very beginning, and I just jumped straight into Doom 2016.
Nice. Solid decision. I believe I helped you make that choice.
You did. You were one of the people that I consulted about this.
Yeah.
And so I, installed 2016, started playing it, not really knowing what to expect. And not only was I having a real rough time at the beginning of the game, but I also haven't played a first-person shooter in probably 20 years.
Wow.
So I don't even have, my hands don't even have, the muscle memory of how to play them in the first place.
Sure.
So I was getting destroyed by, level 1 zombies and, missing all of my shots and accidentally just, shooting people in the feet and such. But eventually I got used to it. And let me tell you, dude, what a fucking game. That game rules. It is so good. I love it. I'm so glad I have a Steam Deck because,
Hell yeah.
you know, I bought that thing not long after it came out, but I never really knew what to do with it because I've never been like a PC gamer. So it's always just been kind of like sitting there.
Right.
Now I realize that I bought the Steam Deck because it was my destiny to play Doom on it because this game is so fucking good. I am absolutely blown away by it. It rules. I beat Doom last night, and then immediately, as soon as I was done playing it, well, not immediately, like half an hour later, I fired up Doom Eternal and started playing that, and I'm on like level 3 or 4 of Eternal right now.
Hell yeah.
I am completely doom pilled. This game rules. I cannot get enough of it. I like if I didn't already have Eternal waiting for me, I probably would have started playing 2016 again as soon as I was done with it.
2 very solid games. I love 2016. I've said this many times on various podcasts, including that Flock episode I was on recently. Mm-hmm. When I first started playing Doom Eternal, I could not stop playing it. Like, I just kept playing it. I kept replaying levels, trying to get all the collectibles, all the upgrades and everything. I just couldn't fucking stop. And that was the Switch version that I was playing too. Like, I just played it again as well, coincidentally. And yeah, this time again, I still couldn't stop playing that game until I realized that it might actually be triggering seizures for me, and I probably should put it away for a while. A lot of motion, a lot of flashing lights and things.
There sure are.
I'm playing it safe right now, but hey, if you guys don't have those medical issues, go play Doom Eternal. You're gonna love it. Go play Doom 2016 first. You're gonna love that as well.
Yes. Like I said earlier, it's unlocked like a whole new aspect of my life I didn't know existed because I'm having a lot of fun playing these games, and it might just be like the specific gameplay style because like these are a lot more like fast paced and like brutal and like I don't want to say gun heavy, but like the combat is a lot more like fast paced and like switching guns and firing bullets rather than just like straight movement like a lot of other ones are. So that combined with the aesthetic of the games might be part of the reason I like it so much. I'm not going to say I'm an FPS guy because Doom is like the only one I've played so far that I really, really like, you know?
Yeah, I'm not an FPS guy. I'm a Doom guy though. I'm a Quake guy also, but I'm a Doom guy.
But I should say that after playing these Doom games, I think I was like just a few hours into the first one, and I was like, oh yeah, baby, this is happening. I went back to Steam and double dipped in their Steam sale and bought a whole bunch of other FPSs to like test other games out to see if I'm an FPS guy or just a Doom guy.
Yeah. And
one of the ones I picked up was the Master Chief Collection. So I might be a Halo guy as well. Who knows?
Yeah, I think the Halo series is very good. I've been dabbling with, not recently, but I had been dabbling with Reach, which I had never played. Sort of trying to work my way through the entire Master Chief collection, and goddamn, Reach is a good fucking game, dude.
After consulting a few other people, I believe you were one of them, but our pal Corey of MK PodQuest was the main one.
And they made another one.
He told me just start with the first Halo, even though Reach takes place before it.
Yeah.
Don't play them in chronological order. Just start with one. And I was like, you got it. And so I installed it, and I played through the first level, and it wasn't bad. But like, you know, because I like Doom so much, I was like playing Halo going, I wish this were faster.
Sure.
And I got to the second level, which is like a big like open area where you have to like run around, and then you eventually get the Warthog and have to drive that around. Yes. And I have no idea where I'm supposed to go. So I'm just sitting on the Warthog, just like driving around going, all right, where is my objective? And then I'm driving around. And then after like several minutes of that and still not knowing what to do, I'm like, I'm getting bored. So I just turned it off and started playing Doom again.
Nice. I do think you got to go in a tunnel and activate a bridge, and then on the other side of the bridge, you get waypoints for rescuing or other crash survivors, or helping like defend their crash sites until the Pelican can come pick them up. I'm a little hazy on Halo 1.
mean, I'll get there eventually. I just I was playing Doom and then I beat it, and like I said, I'm totally Doom pilled, so I started playing Eternal, and now I'm playing through that. And so I probably won't get back to Halo until after I'm done with Eternal, but
Sure.
You never know.
Yeah. Halo 1 is pretty slow by comparison, but
it's not a bad game though. Like the combat feels good.
Yeah.
I wish the movement were a little faster, but that's just, because I'd been playing Doom so much by that point.
That's right. Well, this has been the Flock Podcast, where we talk about the video games we've been playing.
It sure has. It's been like 2 months, everyone. Like that guy on YouTube or wherever it was that like complains about our long intros.
He just puts a timestamp when the topic starts.
We haven't recorded in like 2 months. Cut us some dang slack, all right?
Yeah, we got some things to talk about, and talk about them we did. But, Kenny, are you ready to get into the long-awaited Alien Black, White, and Blood issue number 4 from Marvel Comics and 20th Century Studios?
I sure am.
As you all know, we typically read new Marvel Comics on the air for the first time, except for this anthology series, Black, White, and Blood. Changing gears between stories would be too rough. We just decided to read these ahead of time. So we have read this. I read it this morning. Kenny, I think you did too.
I also read it this morning. And also, for the record, I believe we are reading the What Ifs live. So
yeah, we are reading the What Ifs live. Yes. I don't remember a whole lot of the previous series because, again, or the previous issues because, again, it has been a while. But I think I remember them for the most part. And I was really glad that this issue gave us a little summary of what happened previously in Utopia, which is the sort of headlining, connecting story between each of these issues. And that's our starting point for this one. But before we do that, this cover is... what do you think of this cover?
It's a cool image, but I'm not really wowed by it being the cover of the issue.
Yeah, it's just a red background drawing of a xenomorph with red highlights.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Like the xenomorph's head is like coming down from the top of the screen, and its like mouth is open and its hand is there. And then there's like some xenomorph tails curling around in the background. And it's like, it's a cool image on its own, but it doesn't really like tell you anything,
Yeah. This is a cover by Dustin Nguyen, who I think has done some other covers for this series. And, again, it's a very cool drawing, but as a comic book cover, I'm still thinking maybe because I edited it last night, the Aliens What If number 2 cover of Paul Reiser sneaking a Novomorph behind some dudes, and just how great those What If covers across the board have been. This one's just not, I don't know, for your final issue in a series, I feel like you should be doing something a little bit stronger. This is maybe my least favorite cover in the series so far.
I'd agree to that, yeah.
Yeah. But I like that the 20th Century Studios banner is red to blend in with the rest of the cover. Good work.
Sure is.
I'm glad they took my notes on that. All right, let's jump into our first of 3 stories here, Utopia Part 4, written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing, with art by Michael Dowling and colors by Chris Sotomayor. Should I read the previously in Utopia little summary here?
Sure.
Straight from the page. The foreword: a socialist vessel belonging to the Union of Progressive Peoples has fallen to the xenomorphs. Generations ago, they accidentally let one onto their ship while trying to rescue a stranded Weyland-Yutani vessel. The people tried to contain the creature. Then they tried to eradicate it, only to find it had reproduced using trapped crew members as hosts for its eggs. The people instituted a military regime to fight the infestation, but in the end, the regime failed. Through it all, the synthetic Siostra cared for and facilitated the will of the people until mercy compelled her to jettison them into space, saving them from a worse fate. Now Siostra stands alone. Pretty good summary, right?
Yeah, I mean, that is basically the gist of everything important that happened. Like, the one thing they don't mention is that in between every issue, there's a big time jump.
Yes.
So all that stuff happened over the course of something like 500 years or something like that.
Yeah, this was it's a generation ship, right? So
Yeah.
they had set off to find a new world where they can live in, socialist peace and harmony. So different generations of people are being born on this ship. So, it was like 50 years, 100 years. I don't know how exactly long it was that xenomorph was holed up in a section of the ship that they had to abandon, just breeding in there from the people who had been trapped. The military leader guy took charge, right? They tried to go in and eradicate the xenomorphs, but they got absolutely murdered. Siostra was judging them because this perfect socialist nation just fell to fascism and military leadership, right? Allegedly in the pages of the book. And then she realized that they did not have enough humans left alive to actually make the colony viable, make sure the colony could survive on this new planet, right?
Yep.
So she just opened the doors and sent everyone out into space so that they wouldn't die by xenomorph, I guess.
Yeah, that was in issue 3 earlier on. She was like, we have to institute planned breeding and stuff.
That's right. Yes.
Because that's the only way we'll have enough people. And she's like, if even one person here dies,
right,
the entire plan is ruined. And then a little girl gets killed. And Siostra was like, well, that's it. And just hits the button and vacuums everyone out.
I remember that. Yeah, that's right. The one girl got into the containment zone. Right.
Yeah.
Way too easily. Should not have been able to get in that easily.
Yeah, and she died via chest burster, and then Siostra's like, oh no, and grabs the chest burster and just crushes it with her bare hands.
Yes. Yeah, that was badass. And then issue 3 ended with Siostra walking into the nest, basically, right? Or into the containment zone or whatever.
And implying she's going to have some sort of confrontation with the queen.
That's right. So let's talk about how that goes.
Yeah, let's.
There's a lot of this whole thing is narrated by Siostra, right? And mostly this is a lot of her reminiscing. She's sitting in this contaminated zone, right? Talking about, it's been 138 years, it looks like, that she's been contemplating if she's going to kill the queen or not. This is 138 years after the last issue.
It's been longer than that because later on she says that the generation ship is about to reach its planned destination. That 138 years, that's how long she spent thinking about this plan, not how much time has passed, because I believe issue 3 was 457 years into the mission.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's been over 500 years since then. Right.
Okay. Yeah. So she's just been in this cooked area of the ship that is just covered with acid burns. It looks like, or that's just some stylized stuff. Thinking about the queen, right? Thinking about if she's gonna kill the queen. And I don't know,
or what she's going to do to the queen. Maybe not necessarily kill it. Who knows?
Yeah, she says things like, I was not made for this any more than you. She's speaking to the queen, hypothetically. We're made for coexistence, right?
Yeah.
She says it was unnatural to be alone all these years without them, without service, because her whole job is, being of service to the colonists. And now all of the colonists are gone.
They sure are.
Yeah, so she's like, our journey is ending, and I got to make a decision about our perfect world that's waiting for us,
So she takes a minute, well, presumably longer than a minute, she basically goes on a walk and visits all of the parts of the ship, all of which have now been completely taken over by hordes of xenomorphs.
Yeah, because this is a huge world ship, basically. It's a big ring, kind of like the ring world in Halo.
Yeah.
Divided into sections, rayons they call them, each with a distinct purpose that I'm not going to go through now. But, there's a military section, there's a farming section, there's a sea section, right?
There's an oxygenation
water,
section.
An oxygen farm, etc. And she just takes a walk through all of these, and we just see the xenomorphs existing everywhere, right? My favorite panel is the xenomorph swimming. I love when she's swimming through.
Yeah, and the other xenomorph just swims by and doesn't even acknowledge her. Because that's the thing. She goes and walks through all of these areas. There are xenomorphs all over the place, and all of them just leave her alone.
Yeah. She's a synthetic, right? And she's not a threat to them.
That's right.
Even though she could rip their fucking heads off, right? If she wanted to.
Sure could. And then after that big walk, she decides, all right, it's time. because she even specifically states, I'm going to go see the ship one last time.
Yes.
And then after she goes and sees everything, she's like, all right, time to go see the Queen. And she heads down to the engine room where I believe we saw in issue 3, the Queen is like coiled around like the glowing, like spherical core of the ship.
You say she heads down. She sort of, from wherever she is, she heads up because she leaps into the air and grabs this tower and rips a panel open. It's kind of fun. I don't know. She's doing like a Spider-Man leap, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she like rips this panel out and just sort of walks into the chamber, the Queen's egg chamber, right around this reactor or whatever. And this is a very fucking cool panel.
Of her like standing in front of the Queen while it's coiled up.
Yeah, and you see these ovomorphs just all around her, you know, being laid. Big Queen, right?
A very big Queen, yeah.
She has this line she says where she's like, she's been, again, monologuing to the Queen basically this entire time. And she says, I think you've been waiting so that I might finally recognize perfection. And it was at that point where I knew where this story was going.
Same. Like she said that and I went, okay, all right. This is going somewhere different than I had expected it to.
Yeah, I think we fully predicted on the last episode she's just going to go in there and start busting heads, right?
That is correct, yes. And also part of the reason why we thought that was because the ending of the 3rd issue implies that's what she's going to do.
So we weren't out of our minds maybe thinking that. And she is talking to the Queen, introducing herself, telling her that they're going to reach their destination soon, but only if she allows it. Her finger comes off. It's glowing green. I don't understand, but she's like, if I touch this finger to the engine core that you're wrapped around, kaboom, right?
Yeah, I don't know either. I was just like, all right, man, sure. When she said that, I was like, all right, let's just keep it going.
She's the self-destruct. I guess it's just built into her, right?
I guess.
She says it's her last imperative directive to protect the perfect world at all costs. And then she says this is again where it's really losing me. She says they were meant to make their own choices. You were one of those choices, and so was I. Yeah,
and I was like, what?
She says to the Queen, you don't need me, you never did, which is why you deserve me.
Again, I was like, all right.
They were not the perfect world. They never were. So she's, I don't know, man.
Yeah, like she basically, what I got from it was that in talking to the Queen, she kind of pieces together that this... like, you know, the xenomorphs being there and there being a queen and her being the only one of the original mission left and all that. That was like the natural, like almost destined end point of the mission in the first place, because her entire job is to facilitate the choices that the people make, and the xenomorphs are here because that is the end result of the choices they made. And so this is like the natural destined, like, you know, true end point of what the mission goal was in the first place. And I was like, no, it's not, but all right, keep going, I guess.
It's got some real like high school, socialism looks good on paper, but like that kind of attitude, if I'm being honest.
Because that's another aspect of it. While she's talking to the Queen, she's like, you know, you guys are a collective, like in the way socialism is, but like you don't believe in capitalism, you don't believe in nihilism. Technically, you don't even believe in socialism because you have the many, but you guys don't even have like a voice. You just all act as a single unit at all times. So you're like socialism personified.
No capitalists, no nihilists, no fascists, just the many without even the need for a voice.
Yeah, and so she's like, you guys are like the perfect distillation of what like the ideas of socialism are. So, Neil, what does that lead Siostra to do?
That leads Siostra to land the forward on this perfect world, open the doors, and lead all of these xenomorphs out while saying, would you like to hear a story? I'd like to tell you a story. You know, her catchphrase.
Yeah, she sure did do that.
She gave the xenomorphs this perfect planet that was supposed to be,
Also, listeners, the end.
Yeah, that is the end. She gave it to the xenomorphs. There are so many times, I don't know, maybe I can only think of one recently, right? I guess kind of did it like Eldon from Fire and Stone sort of becoming like leader of the xenomorphs, right?
Because he got like mutated and stuff, yeah.
Because he got pathogen pilled.
He sure did.
I don't know. I'm sure it's happened a lot of other. It's probably happened on other stuff we've talked about on the show, right?
See,
probably.
But that's the thing, though, man. He got physically mutated, and so like
Right.
his entire physiology changed because of it. Siostra arrived at the same conclusion by just talking herself into it.
Yeah, I think
She doesn't have an excuse like Eldon did.
there's an argument to be made that like the Union of Progressive Peoples were striving to start a perfect society with imperfect people, but they programmed their synthetic to expect perfection, right?
I guess.
And enforce perfection, and that's just not realistic or something. And this goes back to the idea of, the constant of the xenomorph being a perfect organism, so to speak.
All right.
Right.
By the way, listeners, if you haven't picked it up yet, I think this ending is absolutely fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I am not a fan of this either. Just want to make
think
sure.
it sucks, and I hate it, and I was like actively upset at like how this issue ended.
Yeah, but yes, I'm with you. But at the same time, it's also the only way I think that this story could have ended.
See, that's the problem, because like I hate this ending so much that my brain is like, there is no way that there couldn't be a better ending. But like off the
Right.
top of my head, I can't think of one. But I don't know if that's because there isn't one, or if that's because I'm so mad I'm just not able to think straight about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm from my perspective, it's like, yeah, this is This is of course where they were going. This heavy-handed sort of critique of socialism that has been sort of the undercurrent of several of these chapters, right? Particularly all of them actually. You could kind of see where this was going, right? And yeah, I can't think of a different ending either. Like once everyone was shot out into space, what is she going to do? Go punch a queen in the face? Go exterminate like a whole colony of xenomorphs until she dies or something?
I guess the only other alternative is she blows the ship up.
Right. I mean, that could be something. She blows the ship up like as they're finally reaching this place, and she just, there's something there about how perfection is always just out of reach, or I don't fucking know, man. But yeah, I loved this whole story up until this chapter.
Same. The first three issues were great. I loved them. They were consistently the high point of the entire run. And then I did think this one started off pretty strong.
Yeah.
Like, the monologue that she was having to herself, and then when she goes and walks through the ship, and then when she goes to confront the queen, and the confrontation is like a conversation, a monologue technically, because the queen's not responding, but it's like talking rather than fighting. I thought that was a really cool idea, but then when I actually started paying attention to what she was saying, I was like, oh no.
Yeah. I think that part of the problem, and so we'll take ownership of some of this because it took us a long time to get to part 4. But also I think having these chapters released monthly might have built too much anticipation, right?
Maybe.
I think if this had been released as like a deluxe format one shot or something, I might feel better about it. But to be waiting as long as we did, personally, I'll say, with this extra delay that we had, for this payoff, it just was not worth it.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that in a vacuum this ending is inherently bad.
Right.
What I'm saying is that based on my experience reading the other 3, this is not the ending I wanted out of it.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, I've sort of accepted that this was I think that they wrote backwards from this ending, honestly. A little bit.
Yeah,
I think this
probably
was where they always intended the story to go. And I think that the overall there were some good hits in this story that ending of the last chapter with everyone just getting blasted out the fucking airlock, right?
Yeah.
Was
Great.
rad, you know. Seostra ripping a face hugger or a chest burster in half or whatever she did was awesome.
Yeah, fucking her killing that military guy by just bashing his head against the
Yes.
wall until his skull caved in. Yeah.
A child being chest bursted, they were doing stuff in this story. Like,
Yeah,
you
there
know,
were a lot of cool moments, and it was all leading up to something really cool. And then I was very disappointed to find out that this was the intended ending all along, because that does not feel like a cool climactic ending to me.
it is a little bit of like the human race will end with not with a bang, but with a whimper, sort of.
Yeah.
You know, except that the human race on this ship was ended with a hell of a bang right out the airlock. So.
It sure was. Yeah, all like 112 people or however many people were left. I don't remember.
Yeah, so my comparison makes no sense. Maybe the rest of the issue, it will be strong. Kenny, what do you think?
Yeah, like I said, I didn't really like it that much, but like the first half of it's really good, and the other 3 issues of Utopia were all really good. So yet again, we're dealing with a Marvel Alien comic that is really strong until the ending. They typically can't stick the landing on these things.
Yeah, the Declan Shalvey books stuck the landing pretty good. Icarus, you know, we had mixed feelings on that. I think I liked it a little more than you, but there's some consistency to their inability to really stick the landing, right?
Yeah.
Lots riding on this Aliens versus Avengers series. Let's see if they can pull it off when that comes out. But let's move on to story 2, which is titled Hide and Seek, written by Brian Hill with art by Chris Cross and colors by Andres Mosa.
Yeah, this is a really short one. I was surprised. It's only a few pages long, like 4 pages or something like that.
Extremely short.
So short, in fact, that I have very little to say about it.
Same here. This is a guy we see sort of pulling himself out of a hive on Earth Colony LV-489. Weyland-Yutani terraforming encampment. His name is Donald B. Shusett, and he's been in this colony for 482 days. When they say Earth Colony, are we seeing what we read about in an episode that may not be out yet about how Weyland-Yutani fixed Earth by terraforming it?
Presumably. I mean, I couldn't say for sure, but I mean, that was instinctively how I took it to mean.
Earth Colony LV-489. I don't know. Dude rips himself loose from this hive, right? And we see a little voiceover bubble in the corner here, box in the corner, and quotes, "Daddy, my head hurts," as this man is looking around it. Presumably his coworkers all nested up in gross, disgusting ways. We should say this art while he's in here, highlighted with green, super detailed backgrounds, very cartoony, very comic booky style.
Yeah.
It's almost, here's one no one's going to get but me. It's giving Bob Montana Archie. Like
you're right. No one but you does know that. That's correct.
Like first appearances of Archie, not the Dan DeCarlo sort of defined style that we got from, you know, most of Archie's existence, right?
I thought the art style, like, I didn't absolutely love it. Things looked a little, I can't think of a better way to phrase it than off model, you know?
Yeah.
Things looked a little bit stretchy, just a little bit off. And it's like, that's probably the art style, like, as in it's done that way on purpose, not because the artist is like bad or whatever. So I can't really hold that against him. I was just reading it and I was like, I don't know, everything just looks a little weird.
It's a stylized choice, right? The proportions are a little exaggerated. It looks, I think it looks good. I think everything looks very organic, like the nest, right? The cocooning looks, everything's really, I don't know, rounded, and I like it overall. But
I should specify, it's not that I don't like the art. It just is a little weird, you know? That's
sure. We then cut to a page. You know, we had that voiceover, "Daddy, my heart hurts." That's what she says. I think I said head before. Guys, I had a concussion. Give me a break. Daddy,
I wasn't going to say anything, but yes, you did say head the first time.
"Daddy, my heart hurts." We cut to a page with much less highlighting on it, very white, except for the red on a monitor screen and an oxygen mask on a young girl laying in a hospital bed.
We find out later her name is Norma.
Norma. And this is presumably Donald Chassette talking to his daughter, right? Mm-hmm. And that he's working for some people who are going to help save her and make her heart better, right?
Yep. And you can probably guess which people those are, because this is an Alien comic.
Sure. I'll give you guys 2 guesses, but you'll only need 1. So she's asking what's going to happen when they go. Can she sleep? And he's like, yeah, you're going to get your own little bed and you'll sleep and you can dream whatever you want. And when you wake up, we'll have a new home. So they're leaving wherever they are. He gets to take his daughter with him. She wonders if she'll dream about her mommy. He says, I think you will if you think hard about her right as you go to sleep. I know you miss her, right? So mommy's gone.
And that entire flashback scene, because there's also a part of it where he's talking to a Wei-Yu executive, and the executive is like, oh yeah, no worries, we will definitely do everything we can to save her, because, all the employees are what matters most to us here at Wei-Yu.
Yes.
And that entire flashback scene is intercut with scenes in the present of Donald escaping from the hive,
yes,
and then hiding and subsequently getting chased by a xenomorph, and he eventually pulls a fugitive. He comes to the end of a tunnel and it's way high up, and he says fuck it and just jumps off into the water below.
Yeah, he does. As he's talking to this Weyland-Yutani guy in the flashback, we're learning that he's got to do 3 years on this colony, and he's done 482 days, so he's halfway
just shy of
there.
A year, just shy of a year and a half. Yeah, it's a year and 4 months or something like that.
Yeah, and this guy literally says to him, "No one among us is expendable," right?
And listeners, there is a reason Neil specifically highlighted that quote.
Sure. Well, I really believe in the honesty of Weyland-Yutani,
Who doesn't anymore,
But yeah,
if you can't trust them, who can you trust?
They terraformed Earth. They saved us.
That's right. And it wasn't even the Earth Savers this time. It was them.
It wasn't the Earth Savers, guys.
See, now I'm the one referencing the novel in the episode.
They'll be in the TV show, I guarantee it.
Sure.
Yeah,
anyway.
So as you were saying, Mr. Shusett here takes a dive and pulls a fugitive, climbs out of the water. He's confronted with these huge green, I'm going to call them onions.
Yeah, they're shaped like onions or heads of garlic, and during that we cut to another flashback scene of Donald admitting to the Wei-Yu executive that part of the reason he cares so much is because Norma loves flowers. They used to play hide and seek, and one of them would hide in the flower bed, and that's how they were always able to catch him. And he's like, oh, she'll be able to smell all the flowers she wants if you're just willing to do this for us. So that's happening while he's standing in front of the big giant flower bulbs.
The flowers are more beautiful than you can possibly dream. So yeah, those the garlic we're talking about is flowers.
Yeah.
And then he says, yeah, the flowers are more beautiful than you can possibly dream. And then we see the word dream over a panel of one of these flowers opening. But it's a little slimy, isn't it? And then dream, we zoom in on his face, and then, oh God, no, Norma. He realizes he's been cocooned this entire time, dreaming.
Yeah, he's still in resin, and he never got out, and all of that was just a dream spot, yes.
He says his dying words, my heart hurts. Pop, right?
Yeah,
but
sure are.
We get a Weyland-Yutani status hypothesis for LV-489, which must not be an Earth colony because it's got these giant flowers on it, and I don't think we have those here. But maybe in the future, who knows?
Well, it is a colony on another planet that was founded by Earth, so it's fine.
Okay, so that's what that means. I was postulating that it might be a colony on Earth as Earth is being re-terraformed.
Okay, I got you.
But now I understand. And they're we should recover this organism. This is the Weyland-Yutani status hypothesis. Suggested parameters: retrieve specimen for further study. Specimen value critical. On-planet crew value expendable. Mm-hmm. Where have I heard that before? Right?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Ugh.
My first thought on this story, there's two things that I have at the same time. First off, the fact that the ending is, oh, it was all a dream is lame, of course.
Sure.
But what are you going to do about that? You know, sometimes that's just the only play you have. The other thing I have is, as per my notes, well, ellipsis, that's depressing as hell. And then I go on to my next notes after that.
It is pretty depressing. For a 10-page story, it goes by really fast, and it's really grim.
Yeah, it's real grim. It's real depressing. Nothing good happens. No one makes it out of it even okay, much less alive.
I take comfort in the fact that we didn't see his daughter die, except we do know that she's at the colony with him, so I take it back.
And
She's probably dead.
During the part where he's quote unquote running around freely,
Yes.
it's implied he is the only person still alive on the colony. So yeah, she dead as hell, dog.
But I think if that were me and I had lost, I don't think I'd be running for survival if I had lost my kid. You know, I would have tried to not land in the water when I leapt off of that installation. I would have tried to aim for the rocks. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Grim story. But I think one of the better sort of vignettes we've had out of the past couple of issues, maybe, in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, like, it's a very slight story in that very little actually happens. It's mostly just like, you know, dialogue and like someone running around. There isn't a whole lot of like narrative emphasis.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, I did like the story. Yeah, it was really grim, but like, The Thing is a really grim movie, and I really like it a lot, you know? So
Sure.
I'm not necessarily opposed to it being grim, and I thought this was maybe not necessarily fun, but a neat little story that after I was done, I was like, that's depressing, but it was still, like, cool, you know?
Yeah, I like the way it's told. I like the cutting between, and not heavily cutting between, just enough of it to, like, cut back to what got him here and versus where he was. And I honestly did not see the dream thing coming because, you know, his escape was rendered so realistically, right? Like,
I'm not going to lie. I didn't know that it was all a dream until right now when you were narrating the events. I had thought that he jumped out of the thing, you know, climbed out, like, you know, saw the big flowers and then passed out, and the xenomorphs gathered him and re-resined him.
Gotcha.
That's how I interpreted that. I didn't even realize it was all a dream until you said it was during the episode. So
okay, so maybe not super duper effective or perfect storytelling there,
well,
but
the thing of it is, though, is that like whether he actually did get out or not isn't really relevant to the actual story, because like whether he never got out or whether he got recaptured, it still ends with him captured and dying. You know?
Sure, yeah. It's like the end of Inception, right? It's up to your own interpretation.
It's exactly like that. Yes, I'm rolling my eyes.
Let's move on to this third story if you're ready.
I am.
Okay. But before we really jump into that, do you remember the story from issue 1 called Maternal Instinct?
You know, Neil, I do, but I'm curious as to why you would even bring that up.
Just as a little reminder, that was a story about the MUTHUR, the Mother 8500 black recording to a black box, about how xenomorphs had burst out of the independent research vessel Abertac, and Mother here was trying to guide Dr. Tanya Baker's son, Joshua M. Baker, to an escape pod through an alien colony. We both really, really liked that story.
We did. I remember thinking about it fondly, but I'm still wondering why you would bring that up now, Neil.
I bring it up for two reasons. The first reason is on our last episode, I mentioned I had seen some things on the internet about these Black, White, and Blood comics using artists tracing photos of xenomorph statues and things. Yeah, this is one of them that did that.
All right.
On the first page. Not on the whole thing, I don't think.
I don't think I knew that, but all right.
Not calling anyone out directly for that. Deadlines are a bitch. And we talked a lot on the last episode about how we're not big fans of that. But the other reason I'm bringing up that story is that our third story in Alien Black, White, and Blood issue 4 called Mother is a sequel to that first story.
It sure is.
Yeah, it is a sequel to Maternal Instinct from issue 1, which I am shocked while reading that I remembered because it's been so long. Like, hey, wait, I think this is connected to that first story. I went back and checked it out, and it absolutely was.
I'm not super surprised because that story was a highlight for both of us.
Yes.
But I will say, for the listeners' sake, because Neil, you already know this, I found out that this was a sequel to the original story when Neil told me, because I hadn't gotten to that story yet. And he's like, oh, wow, it's connected to there. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go into that already knowing that then. Excellent. So that didn't catch me off guard while reading it because Neil already told me that, as it turns out. So
we call that a spoiler alert.
That's fine. I don't care. I don't care about spoilers. It's fine.
Mother was written by Pornsak Pichitsote with art by Partha Pratim. I did the best I could with those names, guys.
Is that the same team that made the first one?
It is not the same team. Different writer, different artist, which is really interesting that they decided to make a connection to that one. And I'm wondering if there were other stories that were connected to each other in these 4 issues that we didn't pick up on outside of, Utopia. But
could be. Maybe.
Yeah, so hey, if you guys picked up on any of those connections that we missed, mother at crewexpendable.net. Or slide into our DMs on whatever our socials are. You guys know. You guys know how to get.
That's right.
You guys know. Anyway, this
and if you didn't, we're gonna tell them to you at the end of the episode.
Yeah, we are. This story, Mother, follows the independent research vessel, the new Abertac. And this time, the Mother 10K is recording. That is the Mother 10,000. That is 15,000 more. That's 1,500 more.
No, it's 15,000 is funnier, so that's what it is.
It is 15 some amount more.
That's right.
And the situation has become dire, right? Mother is reporting all of this. We meet Dr. Baker's daughter, Mariko, who was taught to understand beauty, but the xenomorphs have slaughtered the near entirety of the crew, except for young Mariko here, right?
In other words, she's in the same situation her dad was in when he was a kid.
She is. We get more background information, right? We learned that we are told that Marines caught the ship's distress signal. They showed up. They wounded the xenomorph that was here, but they also damaged the ship's gravity simulators, and they don't do so hot, right?
They don't. That's correct.
No. We learned that this is a ship where they build synthetics, right? Or they're researching new advanced synthetic technology.
What I was to understand by what they said is that this laboratory builds the faces that get put on androids after they get built.
Okay. So but it's not just skin, right? It's like,
I mean, they specifically say they build the faces, but they might make more than that. I don't know, but that's what they specifically say in the narrative.
See, I thought that was just the part of the ship that these Marines are in that panel, because we also see a synthetic hand in that panel.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they might do more, but that is something they state in one of the characters. This synthetics, this place makes those android faces for they slap them on, is what one of the Marines says.
Yeah, and the next panel they say they understand humanity's beauty and replicate it in their machines, and we get some hints of we get some floating faces because the gravity's messed up, but we also get some floating hands and other parts. So I think they manufacture everything, or maybe who cares? We're all on the same page here. They're working on synthetics one way or another on this ship, right?
Turns out what they're doing on the ship isn't actually relevant to the narrative, so it's fine.
No, it's just this sort of dressing to be like Mariko was taught to, seek out beauty and understand beauty and try to, and that's what her parents did. They tried to understand humanity's beauty and put it in these machines, and then the xenomorph got on board and escaped, and the Marines got on and wounded it, but acid is floating around and the gravity's all messed up, and there's synthetic faces landing on the Marines' faces, and then he's opening fire because he's freaked out, and they're all trying to rescue Mariko at this point, right? But I don't know, man. All the Marines die, right?
They sure do. The xenomorph shows up and kills everyone after they get locked into one of the rooms with it, and they can't open the door. But Mariko manages to escape, like she's outside of the door when it gets locked, and they all get killed.
Right. We get a funny panel where Mother is talking again about how Joshua survived a similar situation on another vessel thanks to the Mother 8500, and so he adjusted this one to prioritize his daughter's safety and needs above all else. So this Mother computer is like stepping in and making sure she survives and sort of letting the Marines, get killed by the xenomorph so she can close the doors and keep Mariko safe. There's a fun panel here of young Mariko watching a samurai film, I suppose.
She sure
watching
is.
One dude cut another dude up the chest, right?
Because the other thing is that we also find out that in part of, the programming that made Mother 10K, prioritize her safety at all times, also basically turns out Mother 10K also, that means she, becomes Mariko's tutor and, teaches her everything and, raises her. And she even specifically says that part of it is so that her parents can just keep working and don't get distracted by raising their daughter, implying and then later outright stating that they're neglectful of her because they just let Mother do everything and do all the raising and do all of the taking care of her. Horrible and everything.
Parents. And I understand that Joshua had his own trauma to deal with, right? But he has absolutely reacted to it in the wrong way, and it is hurting his daughter and her development. Anyway, back to the Marines, right? They are... Oh, there. We see a synthetic head in that panel. It doesn't have its face on it yet. They're just opening fire wildly in this corridor with this xenomorph and acid floating all around them. Mariko, again, like you said, gets to the other side of a door, sees the xenomorph behind them. They turn and fire at the xenomorph. She shuts the door, right?
Yeah, Mariko is doing this on purpose, folks.
Yeah, because she's learned all about human history and how humans fuck everything up because she was taught by a computer, right?
Mm-hmm. And so she was raised to think that basically, humans generally and the military and conquerors specifically are an inherent net negative to the world. Right. They provide ugliness to existence when she was taught to only care about beauty.
Yes.
So folks, she's using the ship to lure Marines to it and purposely get them killed by xenomorphs.
Hell yeah. That's a fantastic summation of what she was taught, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So we learned that she's, luring. This is the third crew of Marines that have been lured here.
This is the third crew of Marines. And the final panel is a big wide shot of a close-up of her face, but it's split in the middle. And one half is on the reflection of her big glasses, we see her taking in another movie that's showing humans doing murder on people. And the other half is in the reflection, it says that she has activated another distress beacon.
Yeah, because human nature is to disappoint and to destroy. Any chance to eradicate humanity's ugliness is beautiful, right? I love that. Yeah. So here's a little thing. This is the third crew of Marines that have been lured here after the xenomorphs themselves. So Mother 10K and Mariko lured xenomorphs here first. This wasn't part of the ship's research or anything like that, right? She's they're I got a plan. Let's get some xenomorphs. Let's get them on board. They'll kill my parents and everyone else working here, and then we'll fire up a distress beacon, start luring Marines here, and kill all of them also.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
I wouldn't say, how did you feel about that?
10 out of 10 story. This is fucking wild. This is grim, right? It's not depressing, if that makes sense. If you think about it too hard, it kind of is. But also, this is a creative story. I didn't expect it to be a sequel to another one. I didn't expect it to like examine the trauma that this little boy from 4 issues in how many months ago went through, and like get a glimpse into his future and how his trauma is now affecting the lives of his daughter and turned him into a neglectful father who is obsessed with synthetics. Right. Did not expect the child in this story. Children usually something we're trying to save and protect, right? And then that is being in this story turned on its head. The child is the villain in this. That was unexpected in terms of alien content, right? This would be like if Newt like purposely let, you know, Hudson get killed or whatever. You know, different movie, right? Maybe she did.
Sure would be.
There's the next Aliens What If series.
I liked it, but I don't think I'm overall as high on it as you are. I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting. The twist genuinely caught me off guard.
Yes.
But I will say that taking everything up to the story in that point and then the twist into consideration, it feels to me like they were leading to the ultimate end of Mariko herself actually being a synth.
Yeah, that would be
and
interesting.
After everything else that came before, that felt to me like the natural end for the story. And so when it wasn't, I was like, wait, what? Now everything else that came before doesn't make as much sense. Like everything would have made more sense to me from like a logical standpoint if she had turned out to be a synth. But no, she's just like a crazy person that wants to kill people.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like are you conditioned to think that she's a synth because we've had the surprise synth several times in the Marvel books?
You want to know why? Like the reason I was expecting her to be a synth is at least residually because of the effect that I got from reading Utopia.
Okay.
And so part of that might have, like, you know, the way that story resolved may have conditioned me to think that, you know, she was a synth. That's why she was like not so much teaming up with the xenomorphs, but she has like a synth's, like a robot's worldview, and she's like going out of her way to kill humans because she thinks that is for the betterment of the galaxy at large, which is the exact same reasoning that Siostra used to kill like 130 people, you know?
Okay. Fair. We had a surprise synth with Dayton, right, in Thaw, and the other one, right? Another father-daughter story in a lot of ways, you know? Well, not in a lot of ways. Very explicitly a father-daughter story. I guess this one is a father-daughter story in a lot of ways, right? Or more of a mother and child story, really. Yeah. But it's, you know, you understand what I'm saying. So I did not, and the fact that she was being raised, right, by this computer, they're talking about that. They never talk about her as if she is a synthetic, but you're right. I wouldn't have put it past this guy to do that, right, to make himself a synthetic family, because that would, but I don't think he would protect them as much, because I mean, I don't know.
Well, and that's actually, I'm glad you said that. That's another reason why I expected Mariko to be a synth at the end. Like, why else would they have gone out of their way to be like, both of her parents are like synthetic engineers that are really good at their job, and they live and work in a lab that engineers synths.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, so they engineered themselves a daughter. Maybe like their old one died or something, and so they built a new one. Who knows? But like, to me, them both being synthetics researchers was just another piece of evidence for me to be like, oh, Mariko is probably a synth then. And so like there was a surprise not synth, because I was expecting her to be one, and then turns out she's not. And I was like, huh, all right.
Just a sinister little child who was raised by artificial intelligence. So really, this is a cautionary tale about relying on AI too much, everyone.
Correct. Or at all. Yes. That's correct.
Or at all. Yes.
I will say, though, that in retrospect, my opinion on how the story turned out was colored by expectations that were not actually informed by the story itself.
Right.
So I would like to go back and revise my statement and say that actually, now that I've had the chance to talk it out, I actually do really like it. You're probably still higher on it than me, just because I'm like,
absolutely.
Just because I was still kind of like a little caught off guard by what to expect. But based on the actual story I was given, I really like it, and it's probably my favorite of the three of them.
Yeah, this is my favorite out of this book. This is a 10 out of 10, you're right. Probably strong, right? But I think I was just, this Utopia Part 4 was so not what I wanted.
Yeah, disappointing.
And then the hide and seek story was fine. It was good.
I mean, nothing really happened in it, though. It was fine.
10 entertaining pages that I'm probably not going to keep with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This one is going to stick in my brain, though. Like, definitely.
Yeah, this is clearly the highlight of this issue, which is funny because in the other three issues, when debating the best story, we always had to go discounting Utopia because Utopia is clearly the best one of the three of them.
Right.
In this one, Utopia definitely is not.
I would say this is that first one, that Maternal Instinct one, that this is a sequel to, was very strong, and that one sticks with me as well. In this one, those are the two non-Utopia ones that I think I'm going to carry.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. I remember there's the Hunting Lodge one, right?
Yeah,
from one of the early two issues. I don't remember almost anything from the third issue.
Hold on. Give me a second. I'm going through my notes to bring them up right now. Let's see. The second issue was, the second issue was I Am a Donut.
Okay, I Am a Donut's going to stick around.
That story was called Morsel. And then the second solo story on that one was called First Day. And that was the one where we complained about the ending because, like, the queen kills that dude. And then there's, like, one panel of the main character going, bring it. And then the story ends. And we were like, wait, what?
Yeah, I remember that.
Issue 3.
That had gear in the machine.
Yeah, Gear in the Machine, which was the one about the two scientists that were doing the experiment, and then the xenomorph eats through the side of the pod and gets out.
Yeah, because their job was to harvest chest bursters out of people who had been implanted for Weyland-Yutani, so they were like shitty people. They're just doing our job, and then
the third story was Lucky, where the main character was the dog.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that one too. I like that the dog lives. So.
And then, the Hunting Lodge and Maternal Instinct were the other two stories from issue 1.
Okay, so I can say definitively, Lucky was pretty good, but this one, Mother, my favorite of all of the non-Utopia ones, and better than the end of Utopia.
I will definitely agree that it's better than the end of Utopia. I really do like it as a standalone story, but when viewed as part 2 of a 2-part story, I think it's even stronger.
Yeah.
Like as a story than the other ones are.
And I think having it separated by this, like we didn't get that in issue 2. We got it in issue 4, and it bookends the whole series very nicely that way,
For sure.
Solid. And the art is fucking great. There is like a manga quality to it, but I'm not going to go so far.
A little bit. I mean, it's not manga-esque, but it has a little bit of that, yeah.
It's got an early 90s, like late 80s Dark Horse, or like Ben Dunn, the Ninja High School guy. Maybe I'm thinking of, there's some artist I'm thinking of who this looks very similar to, but it's got this sort of, Japanese inspired, but not trying to do anime. So, I mean, that's all Ben Dunn does. So maybe that's a bad comparison. Oh shit. I just had it. Twilight X. Anyway.
Never read it.
It's all right. That is also not it. But
okay. Fair enough.
The point is, this looks like an early 90s Dark Horse book to me. Maybe even an Aliens Dark Horse book, a late 80s, early 90s one. And that's a compliment. The art style is very cool in this. The panels are very dynamic. I love these close-ups on Mariko and her glasses, and we see like when she's learning about humanity, her glasses are in the reflection of them is mushroom clouds, right? And then when she's typing to the commands to close the doors on the Marines, we see humans being shot by soldiers in her glasses and piles of skulls. And then, you know, I like the way that those reflections are used to like show her motivations, show what she's thinking of.
Yeah, for sure.
Very fun stylistic choice. Just really great. I'm actually going to try to look up more work from these creators. I'm going to take another shot at this name, Pornsak Pichetshot and Partha Pratim. Pratim. I'm going to look them up and see what else I can get my hands on that they've done, because I thought the writing was very clever and the art was very cool.
And again, going back to a point you made earlier, it's so wild that this sequel story was not made by any of the same people that made the original one. That's very funny to me.
It's like they read issue 1 and they were like, hey, we've got a pitch. Almost like I'm sure it was planned. Like, they worked months ahead, you know.
Yeah, that's just so wild to me, because I don't want to say you don't see stuff like that, because in comics you see that shit all the time.
Right.
But I just genuinely wasn't expecting it, because, like, you know, this is an anthology story, and they already made it clear that there's one ongoing story. So imagine my surprise when it turns out there was a second one.
Yeah, man. But again, it helped this. I was really feeling after reading the first 2 stories that this was a pretty weak issue until this one came along. And I'm glad that, you know, while Utopia itself didn't stick the landing, I do think that Black, White, and Blood issue 4 for the entire series did stick the landing, thanks to this last story.
Yeah, it's wild how it turns out that every single issue has one real, like, superstar story in comparison to the other ones.
Yeah. But that's anthology books a lot of the times, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, I don't know. Overall, how do you feel about the Black, White, and Blood Alien series?
Overall, I was very high on it, and I liked it a lot. Utopia, for most of it, was really good, and none of the other stories, like none of the other anthology stories in it, were like actively bad. All of them were at least okay, and some of them were like actively great. So overall, I think the Alien Black, White, and Blood experiment was a success.
I think so too. I think this would be a very strong, like, trade paperback pickup, right? Like,
for sure.
To have, you know, this might be one. I have not picked up any of the Marvel books physically at all, none of the trade paperbacks. This might be one that I get, because I feel like this is a fun one to, like, just pick up and read a story, give it to a friend to be like, hey, check these out. There's a really cool, you know, 8 or 10 page story in here. That, you know, that's not a big commitment to share with somebody, right? Like,
sure.
Yeah, I think it's successful as well, and I kind of hope that they do another one. Like,
even if it weren't for the show, after having read this one, if they do a second one, I'll read it.
Yeah, same here. I think having the shorter form stories is a good idea. I think that this is a stronger series overall than definitely the earlier Marvel books by comparison, right?
Yep.
But they were able to go in more creative directions with some of these stories. Like, they could tell more unconventional stories than we would normally get, right? Like, I mean, maybe there's a version of it, but I'm not sure that Maternal Instinct or Mother could be dragged out for like a full series, you know?
For sure.
And I think Utopia probably could have had enough legs to be like a full series on its own and not just this, you know, this lead story. But, you know, but I don't know that they want to commit to that for an ongoing book, right? There were some really creative and inventive ideas in this series that really sort of the Marvel series kind of needed, you know? Like, needed to take more chances.
I remember back some time ago, I think it was Bob, who we mentioned earlier, had said that he started reading the Marvel comics, but kind of bounced off of them because he wasn't really feeling them.
Yeah.
And then, like, when we had progressed farther on, he's like, oh, should we start to read them? And we were like, oh, yeah, they get pretty good eventually. Like, if there's someone out there that hasn't read the Marvel comics or like started to read like the first one, Bloodlines, for instance, and didn't really like it that much and dropped it, this is the book that I would recommend showing to people to try to get them into the Marvel comics.
Yeah,
because not only do I think this is the best Marvel run so far, but since it's an anthology, it's one of those things where, you know, if you're reading something and you don't like it, flip like 2 pages and you're on to the next story. You know?
Yeah. I think I would still recommend Thaw or Descendant. Definitely Thaw over this. Mm-hmm. If it's somebody who's already a comic book fan, right? If it's not somebody who's like a comic book fan, but they are an Alien fan, I'd say check out Black, White, and Blood. You'll have fun with that, right? Mm-hmm. You know, because, you know, not everyone's going to want to commit to like 5 or 6 issues of a series. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
So, yeah, I would recommend this to new readers as well in general. So, hey, Bob, why don't you pick up Black, White, and Blood?
Yeah, Bob, read it. We're bullying you on the air now.
Oh, what? We've spoiled the whole thing for you on these episodes? Ugh.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Read it anyway.
Any more final thoughts on the series?
I'm looking through my notes to see if I even have anything else I wanted to say, and it looks like no. My final thoughts were this issue has a couple of stories that were okay and one story that was really good, and taking the series as a whole, I would classify as very good. Definitely read it. Definitely check it out. Worth buying the trade when it comes out. Read it.
And I'll adjust my rating of Mother to 9 out of 10.
Oh, darn. Only still an A.
It's a 10 out of 10 in my heart, though. All right, Kenny, let's get the fuck out of here. I'm hungry.
All right. I actually had lunch right before we started. Listeners, we planned to start recording at X time, and I was like, okay, I have enough time to cook some lunch. I made some lunch, I ate it, and then I had about 45 minutes left. You want to know what I did with that time? I played Doom Eternal is what I did with that time.
Hell
and
yeah.
then it hit the time that we were going to start recording, and then listeners, Neil was like, oh, we were on the call, and then after about 10 minutes, Neil was like, oh, I'm having some internet problems. Give me about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we can start over again. And I was like, all right, no problem. During that 5 or 10 minute break, baby, I was playing some more fucking Doom Eternal.
Yeah, you were, dude. I'm telling you, you can't stop playing that game once you start.
And the whole point in that story is that I just had lunch like 3 hours ago, so I'm actually not that hungry. So I will not be joining you for food, but I hope whatever it is you eat is tasty.
What are you going to do when we close up this episode?
I'm either going to take a shower and then play Doom Eternal, or I'm going to play Doom Eternal and then take a shower.
And then play more Doom Eternal, presumably.
And then I might watch a movie tonight. There's a chance of that happening. I do kind of want to watch a movie, but I'm mainly going to be playing Doom Eternal, yeah.
Guess what speaking of movies, guess what I watched recently?
Do I know this already and you're just talking about it like I don't for the show, or do I not actually know this?
You don't know, but it's related.
Did you watch Aliens again?
No, I watched the Doom movie. I watched the Carl Urban, Dwayne The Rock Johnson Doom movie. Yeah, guess what it made me want to do?
Watch the second one.
Made me want to. I have seen that one. It's god awful, but also better somehow.
Oh, okay.
It's weird because it's more lore accurate, but way lower budget.
Gotcha.
No, watching the Doom movie just made me want to watch the Resident Evil movie because it's basically the same movie.
Oh, okay. I own a box set of all of the live action Resident Evil movies. I've watched half of the first one, and then I haven't touched it since.
Okay, well, it's pretty fun.
Also, since we're talking about movies, I would like to give one other movie recommendation
Sure.
that a couple of people were kind of surprised when I said this because, like, they, didn't really know much about it or didn't think it looked that good or whatever. So I'm going on record right now. The Fall Guy is a really fun movie.
Hell yeah. I've heard it's
That's
good.
the one. That's the one with Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling. Like, don't get me wrong, it's long. The movie's like 2.5 hours long.
Yowzers.
But it is a really fun movie. I had a huge grin on my face the entire time. It's got something for everyone. It's got some action. It's got some romance. It's got some intrigue. It's got a good acting performance by a dog in it.
Hell yeah.
It's got a little something for everyone. I had a great time. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm definitely going to be watching it like again at some point. So
Nice.
anyone out there, if you're looking for a fun like action romance comedy, check out The Fall Guy. It's a great time, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Nice. All right, let's close up shop, Kenny, so you can go play more Doom Eternal.
Yeah, that was all I had. So
Where can people find you on the internet if you want them to?
I am on Twitter and Blue Sky and the PSN and a couple other things that I don't use as much, but under the same handle for everything, that is at CYHOBBEZ.
Nice. You can find me on the internet on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Twitch, Xbox, at Final Neil
With an A.
with an A. And I don't post a whole lot, but I might be working on something. It's not a Riverdale podcast, so yeah, follow me on the internet to see what I'm up to.
That's right.
Where can people find this show on the internet, Kenny?
Our Twitter account is at Crew Expendapod. Our Blue Sky is at Crew Expendable. Our Instagram and our Threads is at Crew Expendable Pod. Our website is crewexpendable.net. Neil, you mentioned our email earlier, mother@crewexpendable.net. And our YouTube page is youtube.com/@crewexpendable.
Yeah, it is. Oh, a little thing about that, guys. If you listen to our last episode on YouTube, you got a slightly different version than the podcast feed everyone else got, because that was a Aliens What If episode, and I got this brilliant idea to use a certain popular rock song from a certain third movie, and I don't know why I'm dancing around this. I used the song What If by Creed in the intro.
You sure did.
From the Scream 3 soundtrack.
I mean, I would not say that's famously what it's from, but it is from that, yes.
And YouTube was like, absolutely fucking no, nobody can watch this video. This is a copyright violation, even though it's only a small segment and there's talking over it. But hey, whatever. Mm-hmm. Maybe Creed got litigious recently. So
maybe, who knows?
For the YouTube version, I had to pull that music and insert our old summary betting music that I haven't used in a while. And actually it fit pretty well. But I think I'm going to have to give up on the Creed gag for the rest of our What If episodes. So go back and listen to episode 1 and enjoy it while you can, everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
And again, the audio version of it that you listen to as a podcast does not have that edit in it. So
correct. Until we get a cease and desist from Scott Creed or whatever his name is.
That's right. Yeah. John Creed or whatever his name is. Yeah.
From Jesus Christ himself.
That's right.
Kenny, let's get out of here. We'll be back with a new episode soon. Not sure what it is, but I think we have an idea.
Yeah, I don't actually know quite what it is yet either, because we still have one more that we recorded pre-accident that we haven't released, and we already have plans to record another one. I don't know which one's going to be coming out first. So,
well, you'll be getting something here soon, and on a regular schedule again. So,
yeah.
Until next time, stay frosty.
frosty.